Hi, I'm Brian here at BlvdHome, and I'm on the flooring showroom here to talk to you about underlayments. Underlayments for carpet, underlayments for hard surfaces. Let's talk about them. Let's start with carpets. If we're talking about carpet that you're putting in your residential home and we're gonna stretch it in over your floor, you really need a pad underneath that floor, or a cushion as the manufacturers call it. Why does the manufacturer want a cushion underneath that carpet? One, it helps support the carpet so that it can last longer when you're walking over it for long periods of time. All the kids, pets, whatever, the pad is essential to the support of the backing of the carpet. So a second benefit of a cushion underneath your carpet is going to be moisture barrier. Why do you want a moisture barrier? Let's talk about it. So my number one basic recommendation to any homeowner is to get the 8-pound rebonded pad, but with a moisture barrier on top called Spill Guard. What's the advantage of a moisture barrier on top of your cushion? Well, for one, anything that gets spilled on top of your carpet, let's say like red fruit punch from your kids, or let's say the dog has an accident, what the moisture barrier does is that whatever penetrates through the carpet, through the carpet's backing, and then hits the pad, it's not going to soak it all up. The moisture barrier is going to prevent it from soaking in. So if we were with our standard 8-pound rebonded pad, whatever gets through the carpet backing is going to soak right into that pad, and then you're going to come along and try to clean it, and you're not going to be able to get down to the pad to get all of that out. So the advantage of having a cushion underneath that has a moisture barrier on top is that it's going to sit up on top, and when you go to clean the carpet or use a shop vac to suck out whatever moisture that got down in there, you have a better chance of getting it all out, not staining the regular standard 8-pound pad. One thing that surprises people a lot about carpet cushion is that they think it comes thin, thicker, or thickest. It's really more about soft, softer, and softest. Standard carpet cushion is a 1/2 inch thick. There are some thinner ones, like the 3/8 inch Berber pad. And the 3/8 inch Berber pad is a thinner pad that we're gonna put under, like, let's say you wanted a tight weave, low cut profile carpet or a commercial carpet, and you didn't want as much cushioning, we would consider doing a 3/8 inch rebonded pad to put underneath that style of carpet. So back to the standard 1/2 inch thickness of all carpet cushions generally. Here at BlvdHome, we start you out with an 8-pound, 1/2 inch rebonded pad. This style of pad comes in a 6-pound, 7-pound, or an 8-pound. But as our standard pad, we just start you out with the 8-pound pad. One of the reasons that we do that, different from our competitors here in town, is because we don't want to waste storage in our warehouse for the other pads that we hardly sell. And this is a much better pad than a 6 or 7-pound rebonded pad. So all of our carpet prices here at BlvdHome include this 8-pound rebonded pad. Now let's talk about additional upgrades that all have the moisture barrier built in, but what they bring you is comfort and more softness underfoot. First, we would go to a memory foam. There's 3 different company types of memory foams that we have here. We have Shaw's Pet Protect with moisture barrier. We have My Name is Best from the Dixie Group. And then we have the memory foams from Mohawk, which also have a moisture barrier on them. They're all made with a memory foam that is rebonded. What rebonded means is they're taking scraps of memory foam, running it through a grinder to break it up into smaller sizes, and then they're going to use an adhesive to bind all of that back together into a 1/2 inch thickness with a moisture barrier on top. Okay, let's talk about carpet cushions that are soft and softer. I'm standing on top of an 80-ounce carpet with the Shaw Courage underneath it. It's super soft. It's awesome. It's like walking on a cloud. It has moisture barrier top and bottom, which helps protect the cushion from any stains that might happen that come through the carpet, as I spoke about before. The next soft version that I'm talking about today is from Carpenter, and it's called Ultra Shield. What's unique about both of these cushions is that they are made from a pure extruded foam and both have moisture barrier. So when it comes to underlayments, sometimes you need to glue that underlayment down. Of course, the instructions in the installation will tell you whether or not you need to glue it down. You need to be aware that certain underlayments do need to be glued down, and then sometimes they call it a double stick or a double glue, and what that means is that we're going to glue down the underlayment, we're going to let that set up, and then once that's dry, you're going to add another layer of glue. And let's say you're doing a glue down LVP or a glue down LVT, which is tile look, then you would do a double stick or a second layer of adhesive and then set that on top of it. And so that's a way to have a stable environment for that to last a long time. Not all hard surfaces out there have a pad attached. Those ones that have a pad attached, it's not necessarily a requirement from the manufacturer to have an additional pad underneath. In fact, sometimes an additional pad can void the warranty, so it's really important to make sure you understand the manufacturer's recommendations. For those laminates or LVPs that don't have a pad attached, it is required that they have an underlayment added prior to installation to fulfill the requirements of the warranty from the manufacturer. However, for the most part, underlayments are going to be an optional upgrade and they're not required. But there are many instances where you would want to add an additional pad to block sound from going somewhere else in the house. And that's unlike carpet, where it is required for residential tack and stretch carpet installation. You have to have a pad attached. Now, there are some carpet instances where you don't need to have a pad attached. Let's say you're putting in a commercial carpet and you're gluing that down to your floor, you don't have to have a pad attached. So to wrap things up, realize that it is required by the manufacturer to have a carpet cushion underneath their carpets in order to help it last the longest. Each one of those manufacturers are going to give additional warranties to their carpet if you use their cushion under their carpet. So keep in mind when you come into the BlvdHome showroom and talk to one of our salespeople about carpet cushion, there are many upgrades available as I discussed today. And all of those upgrades have a different price point that might or might not meet your budget. So be sure and talk to us about that. So there's no way to cover every issue that deals with underlayments and cushions in the flooring environment. But if you have questions, put them in the comment. We'll do our best to answer them. Also, if you've enjoyed this content, give us a thumbs up, subscribe for more, and we'll see you next time here at BlvdHome.